We'll call the June 8th Transportation Committee meeting to order. Madam Secretary, let it be known that Chris Lohr and Dempsey Lambert are both absent. We'll go with the invocation followed by the pledge. Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Make the decisions to keep our citizens safe on the highways. May you keep everybody in there in your prayers on the coast, helping clean up the oil spill. We ask this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to move on to the public comment period. Anyone wanting to speak on any agenda item, please sign in. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Turn in your sign-up card to Miss Liz up front. We'll move on to number 3, Road Department Monthly Report for May of 2010. Mr. Ronnie Fairchild.
Yes, DPW crews cleaned 5.5 miles of roadside ditches. Vacuum truck cleaned 5,209 feet of culverts. And I might add, to Councilman Joseph, the west side is not included in that. Our truck is scheduled for every Monday over there, and that's in a different report. We also, on our second rotation, grass cutting. During the month, we cut 157 miles of parish and state roads. We also sprayed 186 miles. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Fairchild?
Not at this
No
time.
question. Okay, we'll move on to number 4, Road Project Status Update Reports. Mr. Ronnie.
Okay, on parish projects, on July 1st, we will be opening the bid opening for the West Worthy Road Widening Project. Ryder Road widening, LA 621 to 931. Right-of-way is approximately 82% complete. Expropriation of the last 3 parcels are underway. Overlay project, which we just started one last week. It's going good. If Mother Nature cooperates, we have some good crews out. They're getting plenty of work done. Second project should start on June the 14th. On our 2004 intersection improvement program, airline at 621 and airline at 929. That's agenda item number 8. We're going to ask for your approval on that then. LA 932 at LA 933 intersection improvements. 1 parcel has been turned in for expropriation, and 1 parcel appraisal has been updated. Cannon Road, drainage design is underway. That's like Bahia and then from 44. Parker Road at 929 roundabout, survey is complete and 30% design is underway. Church Point at Roddy roundabout, we've received proposal for a feasibility study from Burkhart and Horn. On our state projects, LA 932 Mill and Overlay will be let this month. LA 431 roundabout and intersection improvements, DOTD has completed survey work and has begun their design. LA 73 Mill and Overlay from Bayou Manchac to Airline Highway. Low bid was accepted in March. Expect construction to begin this month. The following projects are scheduled within the next 6 months. LA 42 Emmett River Relief Bridge. LA 73 widening from I-10 to Airline has been pushed back to June of 2011 with right-of-ways. LA 44 sidewalk project, airline to 621 on the east side of the road. Bids are due in June the 16th. LA 22 at airline intersection improvement, it's going to be let in September. And Bayou Francois sidewalks, that's in the city of Gonzales.
Ronnie, one thing on the Parker roundabout. I know at the last meeting I was out of town, but they discussed some pipelines maybe in the way, or they were
That's what we're doing. We're doing a feasibility
So that's
study.
that's just 30% of that is complete. So
Right, we're going to try to move it over the other way. We wanted to go into the school board property, which is okay with school board. We're going to look at other options.
Okay, all right. Any questions, Mr. Fairchild?
Yeah.
Mr. Clurant?
Real quick, Ronnie, on the bids to let next 6 months, LA 22 at airline intersection improvement. That's all. Everything. The engineering's all done on that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
On that, down at the bottom, LA 22 at Airline intersection improvements. That's, we pretty much got that squared up, engineered out.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all with the state.
All right. Thank you.
Any more questions, Ronnie, on projects? Okay, we'll move on to number 5. This is on discussion of closing Solemn Way Drive in Lakes of Ascension Crossing subdivision. Got on there Mr. George Valentine. Mr. George. And I got a couple of speakers. After George speaks, we'll let them speak.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Lambert, committee members Kluat and OJ. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
This is Lakes of Ascension Crossing. Has been in discussion with myself over the past several years on several problems. This is one that Ms. Wendy Quinlan, who is the chairman of the or the president of the Homeowners Association, has been in contact with me over the past several weeks. They have been in contact with Mr. Fairchild and Parish President Tommy Martinez dealing with this situation. Was requested, or at least told procedure dealing with gaining a petition, and they have done that. And tonight I'd like Ms. Wendy to come up, if she would, and introduce her her board, and then I think she has a speaker that's going to talk on it. Ms. Wendy.
Good evening, gentlemen. I would like first to introduce our Board of Directors for Lakes at Ascension Crossing. Bob Hill is our Vice President, and Phil O'Connell is our Secretary Treasurer. And I have had the pleasure of working with Mr. Valentine and speaking with Mr. Fairchild and Mr. Martinez. We've done a lot of research on our own. I'm not the best of public speakers, and so I'm going to turn this over to my husband, and he's going to come and present our petition on behalf of the subdivision and the residents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just state your name when you. Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name's Joe Quinlan. I've been asked to speak on behalf of Lakes at Ascension Crossing Homeowners Association regarding our request for the closure of Slalom Way. I've made some information packets for everyone that I'd like to be able to share.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. There you go. Okay.
First, I'd like to be able to give you all a little bit of background about our subdivision at Lakes at Ascension Crossing. We've got 120 lot residential development that is off of 621 near the intersection of LA 73 and 621. Neighborhood was developed in 2004, and the homes range, 3 to 5 bedroom homes range between $260,000 and $500,000. The neighborhood has 3 entrance points, and I've basically got 5 sheets in that presentation. The first page is a brief sheet. The second page is pictures of the entrance at Slalom Way that were that's the subject to what our request. And then there's 3 final plats for the subdivision, one for each of the 3 entrances. The 3 entrances to our subdivision off of 621 are Lakeway Drive, which is the main entrance, and that's probably about a block and a half down from Hutch's Hardware, if you're familiar with that is, near the intersection of 621 and El Landry Road. Slalom Way Drive, which is the entrance that we're requesting be closed, and if you're looking on the plats on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th page, the ones highlighted, Lakeway is highlighted in blue, the Slalom Way is highlighted in yellow, and Forest Lawn, the 3rd entrance to our subdivision, which is closest to LA 73 and the interstate, is highlighted in green. Give you a little bit of history related to the concerns that we have and the problems with our subdivision related to traffic. Our subdivision's been plagued for a number of years with high level of non-resident cut-through traffic off of LA 621. Some of this has been alleviated by opening up the turning lane that has taken place over the last year at that light from 621 on to 73. However, with having 3 entrances right off the interstate into our neighborhood, which while it's 120 lots, is relatively small considering you've got 3 easy access entrances into that subdivision. It's opened us up to theft, burglaries, vandalism, hit and run incidents of parked cars on our streets. We've had reports with suspicious vehicles that sit there weeks at a time, individuals parked on the side of the street, and it's created a heightened awareness on our part, as well as involvement of Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office. We've got, because of that proximity to the interstate, I think maybe because of it being a newer subdivision, it's presented a more attractive target for criminal elements to come in there, as well as the three entry points being able to get in and get out and go in a different direction. It's just made us an easy target. We worked very closely with Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office over the last several years and have met with very favorable results. And we're very appreciative of the support we've received from the Sheriff's Office. They've increased their patrols, but clearly it's just, they can't be in there all the time. And with having three entry points in there, we're at a point now, we're at a crossroads of what is it that the subdivision does to be proactive in trying to reduce the cut-through traffic that's had cars speed, non-resident cars speeding through there, as well as a lot of unwanted transients. The bottom line is we are requesting approval from Ascension Parish to permanently close the Slalom Way entrance. There's no real ideal solution for us in the predicament that we're in, because the lots that border 621 are not owned by the homeowners association. And so, Forest Lawn, which is our entrance that's closest to the interstate, is not with the lot. If you look on the fifth sheet and you look at where it's highlighted in green, that's the initial entrance when you come off of LA 73. We don't own that lot across from lot 104. So we have no way of trying to gate that or even consider gating that, because we don't control the anchor points on that street. We do, however, at Slalom Way, have residents that live on both sides of that street that own those lots that have fencing all the way down to the street. And so you can look on the second sheet that has those pictures of the gates that we have put in, the wood fence with the brick posts and the black aluminum fencing that's up. We put those in there. That's all on property of those two homeowners that live there. Our justification with this request, we feel that it's a reasonable request, because given the size of the subdivision, I've got a stack from the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office of incident reports going back to 2005 that I can certainly share with you. I know it's not all inclusive. We've got homeowners in the room that's homes have been burglarized that their reports aren't in here. So I know it's most of them, but it's not all inclusive. And we feel like we've got to be proactive in trying to reduce the access into our subdivision to increase our safety as well as that of our children. We feel like the overwhelming majority and the residents in the subdivision feel like 3 entrances into the neighborhood is excessive. We really don't need it. We've talked about internally of, what does that mean in the way of first responder access coming into the subdivision. And clearly, if you look around in our district with the other subdivisions that have been developed over the last 5 to 10 years, most of them off of 73, 74, L. Andrew Road have one entrance in and out, and they're servicing 100, 120 homes in each of those subdivisions. We have 3. And so we feel like it's a reasonable request in that it still gives access to first responders. Our fire department for Prairieville is located off of 73. The closest entrance to that fire station is at Forest Lawn, which in this request we're proposing to remain just like it is and open. We've had a petition that we circulated amongst the homeowners association. We got an 87.5% positive response. 98 out of 112 homeowners positively responded, and I think we've only had a handful that it was a case of not being able to get a hold of those people to be able to get a response. We're willing to, the subdivision, there's a consensus that we're willing to forego the convenience of having that third entrance if we can permanently close it, because we feel like safety is a greater concern, and we need to be proactive in taking steps above and beyond what we've done to this point. If you look at the pictures on the second page, it's 3 shots of that entrance at Slalom Way. You can see in that picture on the upper right, there's a sign, "Slow Children at Play." That was something that the Homeowners Association did on every street over the last year and a half in our own efforts to try to create awareness for the non-transients that we've got that come through the subdivision. Additionally, That stop sign that you see right there past the slow children at play was put in by the subdivision relatively recently because we had so many cars shooting through the subdivision for visitors that just aren't as sensitive to it as our own homeowners are. Gentlemen, that concludes my overview of our request. The bottom line is that we feel like the best option for us is to request permanent closure of that street. We've considered gates, but again, you know, the gate for us at that entrance could potentially create more of a first responder access problem, given the history and the stories that I've heard about with other subdivisions that have closed one. Putting a temporary barrier in there actually creates more of a problem with fire departments because then there's an uncertainty as to whether they can get in or not. When a street's closed, the street's closed, and from a standpoint of their when they're mapping and their directions to go, that's going to end up getting put in the system because it's no longer a thoroughfare.
Okay. Mr. Kluwat?
Yeah, Joe.
Yes, sir.
You said you got a petition with 87%. Is that homeowners, landowners?
Homeowners.
You've
We've got 100
some that's built out, some not
We've
built
got
out.
we have 120 lots in the subdivision,
Total?
and I have it right here. We've got
deal.
112 homeowners and 120 lots. There's a handful of lots that are vacant that aren't developed.
Sure.
But the 87.5% is 98 out of 112 homeowners.
Okay. Good deal.
Would y'all like a copy of that? Mr. Fairchild should have gotten a copy of that with the
think
letter
Ronnie
dated May
got one?
27th.
Okay.
Put it in their package.
Yeah.
I got it available if y'all need
Yeah.
to look at it.
Okay.
And I didn't want to cut down too many trees. I've got the incident reports if y'all would like a copy of those.
No.
Of note, we have had an armed robbery in our subdivision, and we've had at least 3 break-ins that I'm aware of, not to mention ongoing issues with vandalism and solicitation and just suspicious individuals, you know, milling on the streets and malingering.
Yeah, just a quick question. You
Sure.
got, I mean, I'm sure it's been developed in kind of like in phases. Is the developer still involved in the subdivision?
Not at all.
And,
They've
and why did he put 3? It felt like
From
that
what
was
I
a good
understand,
idea.
and I can only speculate, I've lived in the subdivision, I've been a resident of Prairieville for 7 years. I've lived in this subdivision 4, and so at that point when we moved in, and I think we've got some folks here in the room that have been here since the outset of the subdivision, my understanding was the final plat, the original plat did not have a slalom way entrance to it.
Okay.
And that was an afterthought for whatever reason that it got put in. And unfortunately, all those lots, the developer retained ownership of all of those lots. And so we're hamstrung with what we can do
Sure.
Based on the access. And so we don't own the lots on those anchor points coming into the subdivision. And it's clearly, for the longest time, it's just let anybody that's walking on 621 or driving on 621 that wants to pull through the subdivision to come through there. So we
Yeah.
just Mindy Way gets plenty of traffic of folks that don't live in there and don't belong.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. I just thought you'd know better than me if you've researched it and what the guys.
No,
Where
it's
does- where does
surprising if you
developers
drive
stand?
around the parish and you go look at almost every new subdivision that's, 3 to 5 bedroom homes all around Prairieville and Geismar. The majority of them have one entrance and exit point, and we've got 3 of them. And unfortunately, we're on high traffic avenues of approach with LA 73 and the interstate. People can jump on and jump off.
Have y'all discussed this with the fire departments, any, Joe?
No, we hadn't brought it up with them, but I just don't envision. I think that, we're close enough to that fire department that if this is something, and we hope that the Transportation Committee gives it serious consideration and it's something that can get approved. But, the homeowner association will go sit down with the fire department to ensure that they know what the situation is if that entrance were to get closed.
Any questions, Mr. Joe?
My only, I'm looking at the plat, we do have a little section of connecting, and I don't see anyone that's gonna be able to connect to this subdivision anywhere soon, because all the plat is basically blocked in. So that's the only concern I was planning, but I'm looking at the plat, there's no other way you can get in besides those 3 entrances.
Well, and the one comment that I'll make, our sister subdivision, and we've got, if you know where the subdivision is, there's a ski lake that separates us from Lakes at Ascension, which was the original filing that was built in the late 90s, that's on the other side of the ski lake. And when you come off of 73 on a 621, that first right after that road construction where a lot of the barricades are stored, that Eads Road, Austin Fire Equipment's located on that street, that goes into our sister subdivision. That's the only entrance in there, and it's a long road to get to the front of it. So, I mean, we certainly have more access to our subdivision than any of them, probably within a 5 or 6 mile radius.
You still got the floor.
And then from the administration point, I mean, planning and zoning, I mean, I would have had Ricky here to ask a question as far as I know which direction we going in the future with in more entrance and to subdivision, and why, you know, listen here, if he had done any research, why this here third entrance was put in, did we recommend it, or, you know? I see Mr. Valentine shook his hand back there, Mr. Chairman, so.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I can shed a little light on that. The developer, if you guys may not remember, some of you, Todd may. The developer has consistently tried to make all the lots on 621 mixed-use business type area. Commercial is what he envisioned, and I think that's one of the extra entrances there. Retail spots on corners. Naturally, that's a lot more attractive on the retail side. And I, as a councilman, and the homeowners have fought that situation over the past several years, and we have succeeded in keeping all that residential. And so I think that's the reason why there is a third entrance there, in my mind. The developer decided to put one in there. I do think one other aspect, it does, you know, you think, well, you're taking an entrance out, but essentially you're taking another point of interest on the busy 621, which Ms. Quinlan alluded to as far as a traffic safety issue also. I don't think it's going to hinder the residents, and the fact that 98 of the homeowners are requesting it seems to be fairly strong. It may or may not set a precedent to the point that you have to look at certain subdivisions on an equal basis in separate situation. As Mr. Quinlan noted, several subdivisions with as many houses as in this subdivision only have one entrance. Lakes of Ascension, which my daughter lives behind this subdivision, one way in, one way out. So I don't think it's an excessive request. I think you guys should look at it and judge it for its merit and deliberate on that. Thank you.
And I guess one question, Mr. Joseph, talking about the connectivity, what the planning commission is recommending. I know they got a master plan going around right now. I don't know if any of y'all have been paying attention to it.
We've attended the meetings.
And they're stressing connectivity, which every connectivity that came in front of me have a lot of opposition to them. And I myself is, you know, I don't think connectivity is the answer. This is probably a proven fact right here why y'all wanting to close one of these up, you know, because of that reason. And so the master plan is coming to us with that, and I think planning and zoning is in favor of it, but there's a lot of opposition. I've been to all the meetings, not all of them, but the majority of them, and every meeting is very heavily, you know, in opposition of that connectivity, so.
Well, you've got a large contingent in this audience, with it being a newer subdivision, that's very much in favor of the master plan. We've got people in this room that have attended the group meetings for that, and I mean, clearly, some of this issue has to do with zoning. I mean, you know, it's not that we're fighting through a zoning concern right now, but we're dealing with a decision that got made a long time ago, and unfortunately, it is what it is.
Mr. Kluwak?
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
I did speak with
Ronnie,
District-
that's what I want to ask you. Where you stand on this? Not necessarily where you stand.
I did speak with District 3 Fire Chief and asked him to assess the situation, and they are not in favor of closing the road.
Okay. Well, I just, you know, talking about connectivity is, you know, I guess it may be several different versions of that, whether the definition, but basically what we're looking at, I think, on connectivity is basically not necessarily getting back to the highway, but getting to another place, you know, being able to move around without
Right, I
getting
understood.
back on the highway for 3 seconds and then turning and getting back off the highway.
Councilman
Okay.
Clord, it's funny you mention that, because this afternoon, when I was coming home to get these handouts together to come over here, there was a concrete truck that had traffic backed up in front of the subdivision all the way out to the interstate. And Mindy Way Drive, starting at Forest Lawn, turned into 621. I mean, there was literally cars going down that street 40 and 45 miles an hour. And it's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, that doesn't fix, Slalom Way doesn't fix that problem, but it's exactly what is happening, is that the connectivity issue related to our subdivision is turning Mindy Way into 621.
To through roads, yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you all for your consideration and appreciate your
Thank you.
support.
I got one more speaker. You go ahead with your question.
Because I'm gonna yield the floor to the president, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine.
Go ahead. I'll talk.
My question is, we closed the road. Their property only goes behind the lot. What happened to the property, the roadway from their subdivision to 621? Who's responsible? You know, it can become a parking lot, it can become whatever. I don't know, you know. What,
You don't, if you close the entrance, you want to keep the road as a road. You don't want to close the road, because then it reverts back to a public road, and then the landowners and the subdivision would have to maintain the whole thing. But in speaking, I've had several incidents on that highway on 621. I used to work in Baton Rouge, and every morning I'd come up 621, and this was before the improvements, and there would be people that would cut in one of the drives and they'd come back on the other end, and then people were nice and let them in, and then you would you'd have to wait 3 or 4 cycles for the light. When you're looking at transportation issues, you certainly want to have limited access, especially on a busy road like that. So in that respect, I totally agree with what's being said here tonight. That being said, again, the fire departments, I wish they'd be here. I wish y'all would have talked to them first and maybe get an opinion from them as to how they really feel about this, and maybe go over the entire situation. But as far as having the limited access, I think that's a good thing as far as traffic control.
Correct.
Now, as far as the emergency rescues, if they're okay with it, well, then that's a different story. So.
And I guess from what Joe was saying, is the sheriff's department looked like strongly for closing it, probably because of all the problems they having with it. So something to look at. I got another speaker, Mr. Adrian Thompson.
I'll pass.
Pass.
Everything that was said
Okay.
tonight, I'll agree with the residents, and I spoke to a number of them, and they request that they'd like to have that road closed, and I support them, and I support Mr. Valentine and President Martinez.
And I myself, with 98 out of 112 homeowners, in opposite for closing it, that speaks strongly. Mr. Clark?
Yeah, real quick. Well, I don't have a problem with it right now. Councilman Valentine's district, we seeing this. I would really like President Martinez had the fire department had a little input, or maybe invited to one of your homeowners meetings. If something happens bad, they will be the first folks that's going to come try to respond to you. So what are we talking about? We talking about closing a gate, building a brick wall, digging the culverts up? What's the extent of what happens here? As we come through this committee, we pass it on to the full council, and I'm sure there's time for deliberation about the exact mechanics of it, but where does it end? I think Councilman Joseph, it spoke, come on, Joe. It spoke that, you close the gate, you do something there, where you still got a piece of asphalt there, somebody,
That's a good question,
dumps the
sir,
old
because we're
refrigerator there.
traversing new ground that I don't know that y'all have dealt with, and we haven't either. I know that we are prepared, that the homeowners association, it is not budgeted for, but we are prepared to put in a wood fence. On those handouts I gave you, on that second page, from brick column to brick column, we're willing to fence that in and put posts, but we're going to need to put posts in that blacktop, which means we're going to have to dig through that blacktop. I don't know what's involved from a public works perspective of putting dead-end signs or barricades in there, but that's basically what we would envision, is putting a permanent fence in there and closing it off, not gating it.
And I got another question on legal. I saw it was written up, where do we stand on this? We pretty much within our rights to do this?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You can revoke a dedication, that would be by ordinance, and if you look in your packet,
I got
Mr.
it.
Fairchild had asked me for an opinion, and it was my understanding that the homeowners association just wants a little part revoked, I guess where you would permanently barricade, so that section would need to be surveyed, and you would revoke the dedication for that particular section. That way, the parish would continue to maintain the rest of the road in the subdivision.
Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Joe. That's all I got.
I'm going to yield to the gentleman in the audience. Come up, state your name.
My name is Robert Jackson. I didn't fill out a sheet because I didn't have a pen.
That's fine.
But, I live on that corner where we're trying to get closed, myself and my neighbor, Mr. Fred here. And I just want to go on record saying that, you know, you might think it might affect our property value or whatever by closing it, but we all for it, 100%. I think it's a positive thing. I work shift work, so I get up 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, and that time of morning I see vehicles sitting in the subdivision. I see them driving through, and instantly I can tell they don't belong. And when they see me, they hurry up and leave. So, I mean, if it comes down to putting a fence up, you know, I'm for it for the safety of my family and everyone else's family in our neighborhood. And if me and Mr. Fred have to get together and pay for it, we'll do that.
Yeah.
No problem. So I just wanted to go on record and say that.
Thank you, Mr. Jack.
I didn't have a pen either. Just wanted to side with Mr. Jackson. I'm not on one of those police reports, but my car was opened up one middle of the night that I left my car out. And I moved from New Orleans to come over here. So I came over here to get away from it.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody else here is going to be more inconvenienced than Mr. Jackson and I. And
'Cause
we're the
y'all
ones
in.
that are more in support of it.
Right.
And as Mr. Jackson stated, I will personally put the fence up just to, he's got a little son, he didn't even mention that sometimes I cringe when I see these cars flying down the street and these ball bounces in the street, and I'm just waiting on something to happen.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Mr. Joseph.
I just want to state that I understand the concern of every citizen, and I agree with you on this here. But on the other side of it, I'd like to hear from the fire department to make sure my decision that I make is within a safety issue. The safety issue of every homeowner is very important, but the safety of everything on emergency is very important too. Something happens to someone and they forget the fence is there, and I understand that you're saying let them know on the map and everything, but I would just definitely like to hear from the fire department so I can get a real accurate response from them on how they feel about this and if this is going to affect their emergency response to the community. So.
Okay.
Real quick.
Mr. Cloy.
I just got one thing. I got a list of about 8 different entities, including the parish and all that, I'm kind of making a little checklist of where we stand on this. To get this out of committee and get it, and am I right, it's going to the full council
Yes.
for a vote?
Mhm.
Right now, tonight, we're short of 2 committee members for sure. I think it, sometime between now, should it leave the committee tonight, and when it gets to council, they'll have some time for somebody to have some deliberation with the fire departments, because our fire and rescue folks, their opinion means a lot to us. Those guys out there beating the bushes day and night on their own time, 90% of the parish, okay? And you guys have a pretty good fire department up there, and I would just like to make a motion tonight that we move this out of the Transportation Committee and to the full council for consideration.
I got a motion on the floor by Mr. Kluwat to send it to the full council for consideration.
I agree.
Got a second by Mr. Joseph. Any opposition? Any more questions? So moved. We're gonna move on to number 6, We got a change order number 2 in the amount of $13,964.17 for the Roddy Road turn lane at Airline Highway. Mr. Ronnie?
Right, okay, this is a credit to us. We need to go to council with it, for your council approval.
Make a move to change or approve the change.
It is a negative. I got a motion by Mr. Joseph.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kluwat. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. We'll move on to number 7. It's a substantial completion for the Roddy Road turn lane at Airline Highway.
Need your approval to go to council.
Got a motion by Mr. Joseph. Second
Second.
by Mr. Kluwat.
Quick discussion.
Discussion?
Ronnie, I want to thank you and your department, all you guys behind you, and everybody within administration. That's not only a good job, but it looks good.
Real good.
I wish we could have some more.
Yeah.
I'm
It's a
telling
good
you.
example of what we can do when we got the funding.
Yeah.
That's-
Funding is big.
Well, thank you. That's all.
If no objections, motion carries. We'll move on to number 8, acceptance of plans and approval to bid the airline at 929 and airline at 621 turn lanes. Mr. Ronnie?
Say we need to go to council. Need your approval to go to council with it.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? So move. We'll move on to number 8, acceptance of plans and approval to bid the airline at 929. Wait a minute, we done finished that one. Excuse me on that one. Well, let's go to number 9, reduction of speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25 on Oakland Drive.
Okay, yeah, I got a little explanation on this. Approximately a year and a half ago, we did move this up to 35. Since then, we had some residents move in, and they've asked for a three-way stop at, and the three-way wasn't justified. Didn't meet the standards. And situation here, we have a hearing impaired and a blind child in this area, and these residents are asking for a reduction in speed. And it's our recommendation.
Where's this at, Ronnie? Whose district?
It's Oakland.
I think that's Chris's.
It's
Chris.
Chris's?
Chris, yes.
Okay. Motion.
Motion by Mr. Kluwat. Question. I'm at second, then you question.
I'm a
Second by Mr. Joseph for discussion.
Right. I mean, I know we just went through this here on petition on this here. Do y'all have?
That's not quite.
Okay,
Yeah,
the minutes hadn't been officially accepted. The minutes for that hadn't been officially accepted. We'll be at the next council. We don't need them for this
It'd
one.
be final. That's when you got to move on.
All right.
Okay, we do have a motion in a second. No opposition. Motion carried. Now we're gonna move on to number 10, roads for acceptance into the parish maintenance system in the following subdivisions.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Mr.
Mr.
Bro handle this.
Western Court, Todd,
Okay.
to the full council. It's okay?
Okay.
Got a motion to accept the road.
Got a motion by Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second by Mr. Kluwat to go with Western Court Drive. Is that both western and east?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We can do both of them. Any opposition? So move. I think we go next to Renaissance.
Renaissance, we have 5 roads in it, Todd, to the full council.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the 5 road.
I got a motion by Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second by Mr. Kluwat. Any discussion? Any opposition? So move. We'll move on to Pelican Point, 12th filing.
Mr. Chairman, Pelican Point, 12 Fallen is a cleanup item. We never officially accepted these roads in the parish maintenance system. We just bring it to y'all consideration to accept them, put them in the parish maintenance system.
Motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Joseph.
Discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Kluwat.
Yeah, just real quick, back to DPW on, it's a decent amount of roads we've taken in, all right? We've, we're looking at roads throughout the parish, and nothing against any one of these roads, but we're looking at roads throughout the parish and working hard to develop a plan to improve the roads in the parish, and we're, need some good roads, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, because we got to maintain them from here to eternity.
Yeah.
All right?
Any more discussion? Any opposition? So moved. We have number 11, Mr. Bro.
Pelican Crossing,
Yes.
the contractor has not cleaned up his cleanup, took care of his punch list. He's requesting a 2-year extension of his bond, which we had a 2-year bond on it. We're gonna move it to 4 years. I do not have his bond in my hand yet. He said he will have it before the next council meeting. If he does not have it at that time, I'm gonna request that y'all pull his bond to fix the problems in the subdivision. If he has it, we give him 2 more years, and we have a pretty good bond on this, $140,000 to go fix our problems. So I'm just gonna ask you to go to the next council
Send it
meeting.
to the full council
Yes, sir.
pending whether or not the bond is
There or
given
not.
to you. The cleanups is just cosmetics, or is it some
No, sir,
actually
we
structure
we have some
problems?
water being held on the road. We have a felon curve.
Okay.
We have a differential crack on the road. Pelican Crossing, second fall. We're not. We're just going to extend the bond 2 more years. It gives you a 4-year bond on the subdivision. He has to fix it.
Mr. Bro.
Mr.
Yes.
Kluwat.
Thank
Go
you, Todd.
Explain you that in a second.
Is there a time frame that we've got to get this to this council meeting, or is this something that?
No, sir. We can wait.
for another month?
We
come back
have
to
30 days. He
transportation as
has 30
clean?
days before the bond expires.
Have what?
30 days before his bond expires.
From what day? Today?
No, sir. I had it on, no, the 12th. The 12th will be 30 days from the 12th, and his bond expire.
So we have another transportation meeting before this?
Yes,
And
sir.
is there a certain amount of time that you got to have the answer before that, or?
No, sir. I like to have, I talked to the insurance agent, contacted me, was supposed to expedite me the bond as quickly as possible, but I never had it signed by attorney yet.
So you feel good about going to the council with this pending the signed bond, or not?
No, not right
That's why
now.
we hire you, bro.
No, sir. Not right now, because I've been dealing with this for 2 months.
I think we need to delay it to the next transportation.
Well,
I'd
That's
like to see
fine.
it. I
If you
make a
delay it-
motion that we defer to the next transportation meeting.
That's fine.
Next transportation meeting will be the 13th.
But he should have something by then.
If we don't have nothing by then, I might ask legal to pull the bond anyway, so you
Okay.
don't have to worry.
So we got a motion by Mr. Kluwat, second by Mr. Joseph to just pass on this to the next meeting, Ms. Liz.
Yes.
Put it on the next agenda. All right, we'll move on to number 12.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by
Second.
Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Kluwat, and I'm sure there's no objections. So moved.